in my head, I wanted to kick him in his chest.
May 20th, 2000. I usually ask Sheed if he can remember what happened on that day. And even before we get to the video, he was already on top of me here. We're going back to the Western Conference Finals when Rasheed Wallace was ejected in, what was it at the time? It was Staples Center. So thankfully, the footage exists for everyone remembers this for you getting ejected with just staring at someone, but there's video leading up to the events as to why whack that when he screams whack at you happened. Could we roll tape and have Sheed give us his director's cut of what transpired on this day? Because I've always wanted to know.
Okay. So now I'm sitting here. I think if I'm not mistaken, that was either Rick Fox or Rob Horry that went to the basket. Phantom call. So, I already had a beef with them. So I don't have to say much. At this time, I didn't have to say much or cuss or nothing. So, he gave me the tech right there. He gave me the tech. I probably said something, probably called him an MF or SOB or, something like that. Something derogatory for sure. Because I knew what he's doing, in my opinion. So as the game goes on, boom, this whole I guess possession right here that we have, like everyone, all they doing is reaching in there and reaching and stabbing and grabbing. So I finally get the bucket, boom. But then it was nothing for me. Okay, so all I did was just look at him. He knew what he was doing. He knew exactly what he was doing. They all knew. He got, as I said before, they got that email. He knew what he was doing. What you think it was built for us?
Did you hear him scream whack? Whack.
Yeah, I heard everything.
Whack, get out.
He didn't say nothing.
Get away from me, Steve. Get away from me, Steve. He didn't say a word. Technical foul, Wallace, he's gone. No, not right. I asked him 3 times to stop staring at me, to try to intimidate me. I'm done. He's gone.
Okay, now, and that's when I knew I had him. Ever since then, I didn't have to say nothing to him, but I always made him feel uncomfortable.
So, Sheed, you're sitting on the floor there, and you've got this, let's be honest, devious look on your face as you're mouthing something to him. You eventually get hit with the tee, and then you start laughing on the floor like, oh, that's the one that did it. That's the one. Was it just was it just insult after insult? Were you trying to get teed up there?
No, I didn't have to say too much. I usually just say 1 or 2 things, but loud enough. But you hear me and you know what I'm talking about. If I make any type of reference to anything, you hear me, you know what I'm talking about. So no, I didn't have to say too much. But hey, they got the agenda. What? We coming from a small Portland market. Look, how would that have looked in the finals? Small ass Indiana market and a small ass Portland market in the finals. No. So during that whole course, yeah, they tried to get us out of there, but we kept fighting and scrapping like the dogs we were. And then I'm gonna say it was the basketball gods that actually, put that over the top, because we had them. We had them. Like I go back, look at the tape, look at that game sometimes. All them cats, they, looking in the stands, saying, waving high and, picture time and this and that, because, they the Lake Show and, Phil Jackson is over there. All of them was clocked out.
Before we leave this topic, I got to put you on the spot a little bit, because you referred to before as the email was going around, which you just kind of gave some context to as to what you thought. But you're saying, was that email you thought it was about the Blazers or just your demeanor in general?
A little bit of both. I mean, it included everything. It's all about money now. Come on, we know the league is all about money. This the NBA. This is the best professional basketball franchise on earth. So it's a $1 billion company. So yeah, they're not going to let certain things get out of hand. It's like, look, that wouldn't look good for TV ratings. That probably would have been like the lowest finals ratings ever. Portland and Indiana. Now, granted, both states, both cities are huge basketball fans, basketball nuts. You know what I'm saying? We already know the history of the state of Indiana, and then many great players come from there. And then, it's a lot of great basketball played out there in Northwest with Portland, and they got a lot of young stars and professionals that played out there for that franchise. So that wouldn't have been, like what? That probably would have been a Nielsen rating low
And
in my book.
yeah, last thing. When you walked over to the ref in the famous whack you're out of here moment, what was your like thought process of your intentions? Was it just to go over there and kind of stare at him and just hope he stared back? Was it just to give him, were you trying to get it? You weren't trying to get ejected because your presence was very necessary on this team and in the series. What did you walk over there with what am I going to do with this? Or was it just something that kind of came out naturally and I've had enough of this dude?
No, it was just, I just wanted them to know that I was there and I knew what he was doing. My thought in my head, you know how they do in the movies where they play one scene and it's like a thought, but it doesn't really happen. In my head, I wanted to kick him in his chest. But, I just stood right there and because I knew what he was doing. He knew what he was doing. And hey, one thing led to another.
And do you have any regrets about getting ejected from that game? And the reason why I'm saying that is I'm thinking about Draymond Green in the 2016 finals. In that game 5, ends up giving Cleveland life because he gets ejected. You were ejected before the game is over. And while I think you were down at the time, do you feel like by you getting ejected, y'all lost that game and as a result lost the series? Or that doesn't really go through your mind at all?
No, that didn't really go through my mind. Again, in my opinion, they had their agenda. So just think that same game. I'm sitting in the back, and I want to say probably a couple minutes later, as far as game time, a couple minutes later, boom, who's right behind me? Coming out double ejection too, Dell Davis. Now, who was Dell Davis to us? They got out the main scorer with me. They knew how it was. Excuse me. They got out the main scorer with me. Dell Davis was our best as far as center, because back then it was the natural positions, wasn't no point forward and all that. It was the natural positions, center, power forward, and so on. So Dell played center, and he was strong enough to play against Shaq and wasn't scared to get hit with them Shaq elbows and, shoulders. Get him out of here. Now what happens? Shaq goes on a rampage, and through that whole and that I think that was the only game in that series where you could call it like a blowout.
Well, that is a moment in time with Rasheed Wallace. And as
much
as I would love to pick his brain about everything that happened in that series, we could create our own show, particularly with that Western Conference Finals. But
with that just finals alone, yep.
There are some current events going on in the world today, Sheed, that I do want to pick your brain about. And the first of which is our beloved UNC Tar Heels, who, as of the time of us filming right now, have just lost 2 games over Thanksgiving break, one of which in quadruple overtime. And while we can sit here and talk about the state of UNC, and again, this probably deserves its own show, what I want to focus on specifically is how Caleb Love goes out there in that 4 overtime game, plays 57 minutes in November. And granted, he's a kid. Like he's not a 40-year-old veteran in the NBA that has 20,000 miles on the odometer. But this Carolina basketball team continues to have like a 6, maybe 7-man rotation that you maybe thought they would have they would have learned their lesson after the way that the tournament went and they kind of ran out of gas against Kansas. So you've been there before as a Carolina player, but you've also been a part of a team that had a pretty tight 6 to 7-man rotation every single night. So I just want to hear from you how you think this Carolina season is going to play out if they continue to need and rely on Caleb Love and RJ Davis to play almost 40 minutes per night. Do you think they can do it again? And if so, can they do it efficiently to the point of winning a championship with this strategy?
We need to go through Mondo. And go inside out. That will open up for the guards a lot more. And if you think about it, that's pretty much how we've had success in the tournament. They were going out there, we go up maybe 12, 15, and then, the guards going, they melee, boom, they doing their thing, and it's hit or miss. Sometimes it's going, sometimes it's not. But our consistent scorer was Mondo until he got hurt. If he wouldn't have got hurt, we would have been national champions repeating this year.
So
I can honestly say that.
Yeah, no, I think a lot of people agree with you, but I want to know like your experience when you were in Chapel Hill playing for that team because you're at the peak of
Mm-hmm.
your human being athleticism existence, like your peak physical ability. And the game in college is only 40 minutes as opposed to the NBA with 48. Did you ever
Right.
feel like when you were playing there, I need a break. I need to be taken out. Or is the game structured that you feel like, you know what, you can play 35 to 40 minutes every night at that age?
Well, it's different eras. Different eras. Back then that's all I did. Growing up, when I was there, that's all we did was play basketball. In the summertime, we in Woolen Gym, running intramurals, or sometimes we go over to Duke or down there in the Dean Dome, and we were always running, consistently running. We were built for, those 40-minute, 42-minute games and a full 82 game season. But the way that it is now, it's it's I put it on AAU a little bit because I think it's once a lot of guys get success with the work that they're doing, then now it's I don't want to get hurt. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So they easing off a little bit, and then they're only playing in the real big games or the serious games, and somehow that has carried over to the NBA with this whole time management, and which I think is definitely unnecessary in my opinion.
Gee, you took my segue because my next topic was going to be about load management in today's NBA, and not just because I already
Yeah,
know.
it's
I feel like I already know what your answer is going to be, but the reasons for load management being so prevalent in the league today is, first of all, someone like the Los Angeles Clippers knowing that Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, the regular season means nothing. The same Milwaukee Bucks, they have Giannis and Chris Middleton. That we are focusing on the bigger picture, and we want to make sure that our stars
mm-hmm.
are going to be available when it matters the most. But Hakeem Olajuwon didn't miss, despite winning all those MVPs in the finals, he didn't miss a game for like a decade and a half, right? The Karl Malone of the world,
Zero.
these Iron Men of playing, there was no load
Mm-hmm.
management back then. So the emergence of it is mostly for, I would say, business reasons, in that they're doing it because they have bigger goals in mind down the road. But how do you, as a
Right.
player that didn't, I mean, there was hardly any load management going on in your playing days. When you see that
Mm-hmm.
now, what do you think about it? Does it piss you off, or do you understand why they're doing it?
The way that the kids' bodies are, again, they're not structured to play that full 82 game season. And me personally, I think it sucks with the whole load management, time management, because for two reasons. One, when you do get hurt, okay, whatever your injury is, you're going to sit out for that length of time. So, okay, that's your time off right there. Boom. All right, let me heal this injury, stay in shape, be running if I can run, or, you still working out, all that, right? So then back then when I played, it was more like, I'm going to go out here every night. If I'm not hurt to the point where it's like, I know I can't put no pressure on my ankle, or I know my knee, I can't really turn or jump, okay, I'm going to sit out. But if it's like, my knee's a little sore, or I tweak my ankle a little bit, no, I'm going to still go. And reason being, one, the spirit of competition. And then two, it's the fans. Because, you never know what day it is, whatever day it is. It could be any day of that week. That family is coming to the game, or that school is bringing 20, 30 kids that got straight A's to the game, and you definitely got your sponsors and everybody else. But for a majority of the fact, for the blue collar fan, that's why I love playing in Detroit. For that blue collar fan, I'm gonna go out here and play. I'm gonna show up at home and on the road. Because on the road, you might have some fans, and that opposing team fans might want to see you too, because they know it's going to be a good game. Like, can you imagine if I would have hit the whole load management shit when we played Minnesota going against KG? Yeah, right.
Did you feel a sense of responsibility to not just your fans, but basketball fans in general to go out there and play every night because they were paying a lot of their hard-earned money for these tickets? And do you think that mentality has changed today, that it doesn't feel like the players anymore care about the blue collar fan.
It really does suck. And no, I took it personal. Again, that was me going out there like, okay, we got a 3-game road trip. We going to Dallas, Phoenix, and let's say back then, like Seattle. All right. So we're in those, we on that trip. Like, all right, even if you're saying like, let's say Phoenix was a trash ass team. I'm speaking hypothetical, y'all. I don't want y'all to start any shit out there thinking I'm saying this for real. But I'm speaking hypothetical.
Right.
Let's say Phoenix was trash, right? But so we're going there and they on a schedule, so you got to play. So the way that we did it back then was it wasn't for the whole night. You didn't come in, your suit or street clothes. No, you came. The coach will play you for probably to the first time out. He'll play the stars to the first time out, which is probably like 3-4 minutes into the quarter for the first TV timeout. So now, the dads or like you said, the parents, excuse me, the workers, everybody, to get that picture time, getting that like, yo, I went to the game and, we seen Michael Jordan and we seen LeBron James and, we seen all the big names from those teams. That makes the night. Then we play them a couple minutes in the first quarter and play them a couple minutes in the third quarter. And that's it. After that, yeah, if it's a team that's a trash team, you let your bench do the rest of that. That's how we usually do it against teams who are of a lesser talent, lesser caliber than you back then. But now it's completely nothing. I'm like, damn. It sucks for the working class family. It sucks for everybody because that's who you come to see.
I did a little research on this, and I'm trying to put this delicately because of my audience here. I'm watching Giannis Antetokounmpo these past 2 weeks, and while he's evolving to be a player that's the league is going to be his once like Durant and LeBron move on and Father Time claims another victim. This will be Giannis and Luka's league, but mainly Giannis is I think going to end up being the generational player. His game now is almost perfect. Like he's developed a reliable jump shot. He's hitting fadeaways. His 3-pointer is deeming enough respect that you can't just go under the screen against it every single time. But there has been a little bit of regression in his free throw shooting ability. We saw him tilt after that 76ers game with the ladder incident because he was trying to get up free throws after. He's clearly cognizant of it and he's practicing them. I thought we had moved on from the Atlanta Hawks fans counting down or counting to 10 to give him a 10-second violation, right? When they were doing that shit. We kind of are revisiting this now. And the reason why I'm bringing it up is because the guy over here on the other side of the screen from me, Rasheed Wallace, has had 2 seasons. Don't shoot the messenger, please. You have had 2 seasons that you had a free throw percentage below 70%. Now, to your credit, and the reason for me asking this is the season after it, you improved it by at least 5% both times. So my question to you, Sheed, is somebody that is struggling from the free throw line. It's almost to game at the free throw line more than anything. How were you able to get over stretches where, why the hell can't I make a damn free throw?
It's just old school work, get in the gym. To go ahead and get in the gym, and it's that mental state. You see yourself doing better. That's the main thing. And then you also it's the point to where you have to care. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, you don't want to be scared to get fouled knowing that you can't hit shit at the line. Nah. All right, go ahead. Let me go ahead and get fouled. I just gotta go to the line and put your mindset to the point where I'm in the gym. I'm at home in my gym, no matter if it's at your house or you at the practice gym. And you got to tune everything out. You got to tune all the the thunder sticks and all the crazy fan. You got to tune all that out and focus on that back rim. And, you go through stretches in your career where, you don't have good years of shooting either from the line, from the field, or anything like that. You might have more fouls all of a sudden this year than you had over the last 3 years. It's stretches like that you go through your career. But the whole thing is, okay, you have to be mentally sharp enough to know, okay, I got to pull myself out of it. I can't be sitting up here, be shitty at the line for my career. I can't end up being 29% career from the line. No.
So your method of remedy is almost tough love on yourself in that you just got a job to do. Go do it, man. And while that sounds sufficient and good and maybe something I would adopt, I'm thinking of a player like Ben Simmons, who the infamous pass in Game 7, that exact type of player that didn't want to get fouled because he knew he would have to go shoot free throws. I don't think it's as easy as you or I make it sound that, you know what, I just got to get over this and shoot it. If they weren't Rasheed Wallace or Worldwide Wob and they are struggling with the pressure of the moment, or I've missed so many now, I'm starting to think about it. How do they get over that? These are professional basketball players that can't make free throws.
But here it is. These are also professional basketball players who can't shoot jump shots. So if you can't shoot a jump shot, you ain't going to make a foul shot. If you can shoot jump shots or halfway decent at shooting jump shots, then, you're going to be a good foul shot shooter or a halfway decent foul shot shooter. But if you can't shoot jump shots, you ain't going to be able to shoot foul shots. And if guys, especially if guys ain't respecting it, like in my opinion, during our area for a guy like Giannis, I don't think he would have, played for at that position of being the main man for many teams. Like, he's a good defender for sure. That he's always been from rookie season. He's going to get that shit up out of there and he's going to run that floor. That he's always had. But over the last few years with him being in Milwaukee, they asked him to, we need you to pick it up some more. And he has done that. He has put the work in. He has become the MVP and finals MVP and, won a chip and did his whole thing worldwide. He's put the work in. But, it's still evident at times you can't shoot that jump shot. In my day, we leaving him open. It's not no analytics. No, he ain't hitting it. We leaving him open. And we want him to come into this paint. It's a mental thing. Again, that's why DeAndre Jordan ended up going to see a sports psychologist. Because once you go to that line, oh, man, if you're not mentally strong, you hearing that from everybody. Hey, yo, block out. You definitely know he missing this. Or like, yo, put your hard hats on. Or whatever the case may be, you're going to hear guys along that line talking shit and snickering and all of that. And if you're not a good foul shot shooter, like, hey, either you accept it or you work on it.
Let's use this as an opportunity to talk about Kevin Durant, who is now, at the time of filming, leading a Brooklyn Nets team. I don't want to say by himself, because he has a supporting cast and guys like Yuta Watanabe and Seth Curry, Nick Claxton, that are certainly doing their part. But Kevin Durant is a special tier of star in the league, and he has been now for a decade. He has almost personally saved the Nets season, which just a couple of weeks ago was on ABC World Nightly News talking about everything but basketball, okay, for what was going on with Kyrie off the court, in the locker room, what's said in these post-game press conferences. And Durant was able to hold down the fort with the on-court product to keep them in a position now that they're winning some games to get back into above 500, play in tournament, playoff territory. That seemed very, very far-fetched just a couple of weeks ago. In your career, any of the teams that you have played on have faced not the degree of off-the-court storylines, narratives, whatever you want to call it, things that need addressing that you said, you know what, fuck this, I'm going to take the ball and go win this game. Was there a stretch of a week or two, whether it was in Portland or Detroit, where Rasheed Wallace himself said, I'm going to just take over, we're going to win games, fall into line or else? Because that's kind of what KD has done with the Nets now.
Ever since Brooklyn let the big stars with KG and Paul Pierce go, they've been pretty much struggling to find an identity. And then when he came there, with him being the megastar that he is in New York, which is the biggest media capital, there was a perfect marriage. So, yeah, you got to take the good with the bad. But he definitely takes that to the point where, okay, it's not my fault. I can't control what's going on out here, but I can control what's going on this court. You know what I'm saying? With banging these shots, hitting my teammates, us playing defense, grabbing these rebounds and adding up. Hey, we got to win each quarter to win this game. I can control that. And that's what he's been doing. And I never played, I would say the most probably turmoil team that I ever played with was Portland. And that's pretty much one thing we said in the locker room, you know, that with the whole little Jailblazers shit, we was like, look, we know it ain't true. Guys on here ain't been in jail and haven't been doing this or that. So we know what it is with them. It's the negative media coming in a little market and everybody trying to get out by writing negativity. So we knew what it was. So we was like, look, let's just go out here and win games. And just think about it. We was up in there. That's back when you had a Seattle team, you know, with Detlef and Sean Kent, my vet, and Gary Payton, my vet. You know what I'm saying? Then you had that good Lakers team, that good San Antonio, and we was holding our own. Everybody looked at us as like, you know, we was chop suey, but we was holding our own. And then who emerged? It was always that Western Conference Finals always ended up being somehow us and the Lakers. And like we just couldn't get over the hump with the big fella. You know what I'm saying? At the time, he was the most dominant fucking athlete on earth, but we couldn't get over the hump with him.
I want to follow up on the Jailblazers comment, because the Jailblazers, for people that weren't alive, was kind of a big deal. It didn't rival the magnitude of what the Kyrie anti-Semitism Amazon movie, whatever, like that has real life effects off the court, but the Jailblazers storylines and papers and was on local news because of events that were occurring off of the court. And that's the similarities between the two, or these are off the court things that were occurring. And I guess what I ultimately want to ask you is, does winning really cure everything? Because we haven't talked about Kyrie in the last week and a half, ever since the Nets have figured it out. He's returned to the lineup. That could be more so because he went through the process of apologizing and doing whatever. But does winning cure everything with the Jailblazers team that was the talk of the town, no matter where you were for several weeks? If you're in that locker room, like, let's just go win games. It sounds like that it is the antidote to any issue in any sports. But is that the way y'all thought, or am I mistaken?
No, that's the way it is in every sport. You know, it's picture it like this: in soccer, basketball, maybe even football, how a guy all of a sudden, boom, he gets hurt. But then as soon as he get that ball, I'm miraculously healed again. You know, now I can make my moves, or now I can shoot the jump shot. And in soccer, now I can go ahead and kick my goal because I got that ball. That's how winning is. You know, when like with things that's happening in your home, say if things are not going too well for you off of the court. But now, okay, we've been winning lately though. So now I know I got that safe haven at the gym with my guys. You know what I'm saying? I know that we about to go on the road for this 2-3 game trip. We're going to bond. You know what I'm saying? We're going to go out there and kick some ass. But then when you get back home, it's like, okay, if you got problems, then, you know, you deal with them problems at home. But when you winning, it's like, okay, you look at things different, especially when you are home, you look at things different. Because when you're not winning and when you're getting your ass kicked every night or blown out and y'all like 2 out of y'all last 15 y'all done won, that's when you look at home. Like, oh, man, you know, now you're looking at, you know, your family, some of your friends, like, hey, look, it's going to get better, blase. So it has to be one or the other when you winning, but that's the overall. Because when it makes everything better. Like I said, it's like that guy who got the fake injury, but soon as, you know, he laying down there in the half court, like, my knee. But then soon as we get a steal, hey, he pops up, hey, I'm open, hit me. That's winning.
That is the bottom line, because Rasheed Wallace said so. For this episode of That's What She'd Said, that's the man, Rasheed Wallace. I'm Rob Perez, Worldwide Wob. We will see you on the timeline. We will see you next episode.